Brown and raid on Harpers Ferry.
John Brown was born on May 9th, 1800, in Torrington, Connecticut, to a very poor and religious family.
Growing up, Brown was taught to hate slavery. He was never financially successful.
While he traveled around the country with his ever-growing family, Brown would regularly support his belief for a world without slavery.
In 1849, John moved to North Elba, New York, a black community. While there, he tried to make all slaves look upon him as if he was a father.
In August of 1855, Brown and 5 of his sons left New York for Kansas in the hope of making it the perfect place for anti-slavery settlers. 1 year later, however, his anger exploded when pro-slavery hooligans attacked and wrecked the anti-slave settlement of Lawrence. It's important to note that John Brown was very violent in nature. On the evening of May 23rd, 1856, Brown and a group of 6 set out from Osawatomie River Colony along Pottawatomie Creek and murdered the families of most of the pro-slavery hooligans that attacked Lawrence. From then on, Brown was recognized as Old Brown of Osawatomie and a threat to the entire slave trade.
For the next 3 years, Brown dodged around the country collecting money for his plan to end slavery.
On the night of October 16th, 1859, Brown, along with his ragtag guerrilla group, entered the town of Harpers Ferry, Virginia. He and his men were supplied with 200 breech-loading .52 caliber sharps, carbines, and pikes. His plan was to attack and capture the National Armory in Harpers Ferry, which contained 100,000 muskets and rifles. The second half of his revolutionary plan was to arm local slaves and head south to liberate more. He thought that after a while he would rid the world of slavery. However, it wasn't that easy. His troubles began when a train started to pass through Harpers Ferry, and the baggage master called out to warn the passengers. John Brown shot him and let the train pass. The first life in Brown's war had been claimed. News of the raid reached Washington by the next morning, and a band of Marines were dispatched to crush the rebellion.
Alongside angry townspeople, the Marines, commanded by to-be Confederate General Robert E. Lee, raged an immense battle against Brown and his men, forcing him to retreat to the armory.
All day long shots were exchanged and blood was shed. Brown and his men held off attack after attack of sword and musket, until the morning of October 18th, when Marines surrounded the armory and waved a white banner in means of surrender. But John Brown only replied,
"No, I'd prefer to die here."
Faced with no other alternative, the Marines charged the armory with all force and took Brown and the rest of his men hostage. In the end, Brown had lost 10 out of 19 men. 2 were his sons, and Brown's rebellion had a grand total of 4 casualties and 9 wounded.
On November 2nd, in Charlestown, Virginia, after a week-long trial, Brown was found guilty and sentenced to hang. Some of his last recorded words were,
I have, may it please the court, a few words to say. In the first place, I deny everything but what I have all along admitted, of a design on my part to free slaves. Now, if it is deemed necessary that I should forfeit my life for the furtherance of the ends of justice, and mingle my blood further with the blood of my children, and the blood of millions in this slave country whose rights are disregarded by wicked, cruel, and unjust enactments, I say, let it be done.
Brown was hanged on December 2nd, 1859, in Charlestown. He lives on today as the man who started someday the American Civil War. Frederick Douglass had this to say.
Did John Brown fail? John Brown began the war that ended American slavery and made this a free republic. His zeal in the cause of freedom was infinitely superior to mine. Mine was as the taper light. His was as the burning sun. I could live for the slave. John Brown could die for him.
He's regarded in many different ways.
As a hero.
A maniac!
And as a patriot. In conclusion, John Brown's body lies a mouldering in the grave, but his soul goes marching on.
I'd just like to thank y'all for this. I mean, it's been a really great experience. I mean, thank you so much.